and what we are doing here with the RSIs, and currently right now an example is what's happening with Matic. So the reason why we go through our RSIs is very simple. So the first thing let's do is take a look at our 4-hour RSI. Now I'm going to do something very simple here just to put in a pattern. What I'm looking for is the best trades possible, which means as I go along here and looking for all the big trades that happen, what I want to do is know what my 4-hour RSI is doing. So right here, taking a look at the 4-hour RSI, we can see right here the 4-hour RSI had bottomed out right here, started to move up, went sideways on the 30-minute, but then broke up right here. But we're going to put this line right here, this white line, to basically demonstrate that the 4-hour had got to the 30 line and got to a breakout. Now we can move it over right here exactly on the 4-hour breakout up, or we can move it right here to where the RSI started its movement up, right? Either way, it's okay. Then I want to do is where the 4-hour stayed at the top to where it finally bounced a little bit, hit its top, and then right here was the actual continuance down, right? Meaning it really started its way down. And what I can do here is I can go into here as well to show that this was its original breakdown. It bounced off the 60 line. This is where this one actually really started going down here. The reason what we want to do here is inside this gap, right, where this big pump happened, inside this gap where this really big, notice how during that RSI period of the 4-hour, look at this run that this had. This run was massive, okay? So if we open this up here, let's take a look at the run. The run would have been a very impressive run here. Which was close to 31%, okay? So this run ends up being about 31%. All right, this run ends up being about 31%, okay? So now in that time frame, let's take a look at what everything else is doing. This so you guys can understand the power of trading with the RSI versus against the RSI. So you can understand why I love to trade when everything is facing the same direction. All right, beginning of the 4-hour, the end of the 4-hour. Look at that bull run, the 41% and a way down, right? So let's take a look during this time period, what was going on with the 1-hour. Now, another thing I want you guys to notice is how long can an RSI top out, right? So basically right here, when it tops out here, it's 10 o'clock on February the 23rd, and it runs all the way, look at this, the 14th of February at 10 o'clock, and it doesn't come down until the 18th of February at 4 o'clock. So literally 4 days an RSI can be topped out, okay? Doesn't mean just because it's oversold that it's going to come down immediately. There's going to have pullbacks, bounces, pullbacks, and bounces during that time. But this is a 4-day process on the big runs, okay? So now that we know what's happening here, let's go to the 1-hour RSI so you can see what we could have done during that 4-hour RSI run, meaning from the bottom to the top. Let's open up here, and as we can see right here, this is the line indicating the start of that 4-hour run. This is the line indicating the end of that 4-hour run, right here. Now, as you can notice right here, the beginning of that 4-hour run, what do we have on the hourly trend, right? Look at the hourly trend, went green, right? When did it end? It ended when the 4-hour started to bend down and lost its momentum. So that's what that trend is, right? The trend is an indicator that's looking into the future for you on the pushing of the price action, right? And that's what the 4-hour RSI is really doing, is like gauging price action at a higher level on a bigger scale. This is why these indicators work good together. But this is why the system is designed and set up this way. So now during this period, I want you to look at the 1-hour RSI. So if we would have bought in right here when the 1-hour RSI was actually bottomed out and the 4-hour was bottomed out, and they were both pushing up at this very moment right here, that's when we want to get into our most trades, our heaviest trades, because right here, this is the most secure trade you're going to get. you enter right here and look at this run. Boom, right? All the way to the top. And then you hold it until the 1 hour RSI breaks down. Happens right here. You sell on this one. Comes down, consolidates. During this period, the 4 hour RSI is still at the top. So now when the 1 hour bounces right here, we get back into another trade. And at this point right here, we go for another push all the way up to here. And when that 1 hour basically breaks down early, that means it didn't reach its top potential, which means it's pretty much the end of the push, because a lot of times it's just showing weakness. So this is the beginning of the downside of the 4 hour, which happens literally right here. So the 1 hour breaks down, comes all the way down, goes to the bottom and starts to level out here, right? Now, that is a shorting position at that level right there. You could go into a short and you could ride that down, and you would have noticed that your 4 hour was going down as well right here, which would give you an extra incentive to short this right here and continue this short. Like, that's the beginning of the short. We're going down, and then right there, when it kind of like bounces up a little, the 4 hour starts to head down, which would allow you to say, okay, I'm going to stay in this short and continue on all the way down. And then we get a red trend right there, which is just a continuation of a short until the 1 hour finally starts to break back up right here, and then you close your short. Like, see that? See how the 1 hour finally bottomed out and then broke up right here? Then you close your short. What happens is the 1 hour rises to the top, you re-enter your short, and bada boom, bada bing, you continue this move as you go forward, because the 4 hour at this point is at the bottom and you're rolling along, right? That's the power of the RSI. Now the 4 hour doesn't begin its upward tick, right? It keeps going down, down, down. And we have all these shorts that we could have took advantage on the 1 hour RSI short. And then all of a sudden the 4 hour at this moment right here is now beginning to actually push its way back up. Now, another interesting thing I want you guys to remember is that once an RSI hits a certain level or a top or whatever, it can go for, you know, extended periods. This one is Sunday the 26th. We've seen the 1 hour RSI hit this at midnight, right? As we move along, it goes all the way for 10 hours before it breaks down. So our 1 hour RSI can stay at the top for 10 hours, right? It can easily do 10 hours at the top. And the 4 hour RSI can stay at the top for what? 4 days, right? Isn't that what we covered? The 4 days. So keep that in mind as you're watching here. You have to allow these things to really have their breakdowns, which is where you see these sharp movements down, right? These sharp movements down. And that's why we trade within this trend. This is why we trade these trends. So what's happening right now? So this was that big run. What's happening right now is the 4 hour RSI is starting to head up. So looking over here, look what happened. The 4 hour RSI started to head up. The 1 hour ran with it. It got exhausted. It pulled back and then went for another run. What is happening right now with the 4 hour pushing up and the 1 hour? What is happening right now? The original push, the 1 hour pulled back, then went on an extended run, and that's where we got this entire run right here. Pushed up, extended run, right? Extended run to here, pulled back, and then went on another run. So currently, what do we have? We have the very first run right here, which we just experienced. Pushed up, it's consolidating right now. The 1 hour is consolidating, but this 1 hour looks like as soon as it breaks up, we're going to have a continuation push on Matic, right? A continuation push on Matic, because the 4 hour is pushing up right now. So currently we are in long positions for Matic. So every time the 1 hour pulls back, we enter longs on those 1 hours, right? So let's go back to the 4 hour. Where's the 4 hour? The 4 hour RSI is pushing up at that level right there. See how it started its push right here? Here's its push. It ended right here, came back down, and now it started its push in this zone here again. Here we go again. Here's another push. Now our 4 hour RSI is at the top right here, right? That's kind of what we want to see here. Once the 4 hours our RSI gets to the top, it can stay there for extended time period and run longs, right? Until it breaks down and starts to head back down, right? Currently, it's pushing the top. So we got, could be 10 hours, could be 24 hours, could be 2 days at the top, whatever. But now the RSI is fully at the top. And during that time period that the RSI is at the top, we do have movements up, right? And I just want to take a look at the percentages so you guys can understand what you're dealing with here as far as how much can it push up, because it is oversold. So right here, if you look at this particular moment here, this was able to do a 3% move to the north, and then that was pretty much it. So now that we understand what we're dealing with, we know that right now the RSI on the Matic is oversold, which means the best that Matic can do at this moment right here is move to what we call a 3% move. So right now we can draw a scenario where we know that Matic can move, right? And I'm gonna put these bars, let's go ahead and put these bars in here. So Matic can move. I'm gonna put these here, and I'm gonna make these a little bit thicker so that we're gonna track, because we're gonna be in Matic the entire time. We're gonna make these, not blue. Let's make these, let's make something that pops. I don't know if we'll do white, because I do white on a few different things. Maybe we'll make these pink. All right, let's make these pink, and let's make these a size 2, right? And what we're gonna do here is we're simply going to draw the channel that Matic is more than likely to hit and maintain during this time period if the 4-hour RSI remains going forward. But the RSI, even in its best times, can only do this type of move. So which means we should be looking for half that move, because it's kind of a weak market here. So I would say that in this section here, we would be looking for something in the middle of this move, right? So I'm gonna put a third line here just so that we have some type of idea of what we're dealing with on 3 levels of Matic before it becomes a short, right? So that's our levels right there. Those are our levels right there. So now that we have our levels on where the RSI is, we know that we're dealing with an oversold 4-hour RSI, and we should start looking for push-ups and then into a short position, because that is where we're headed, right? And now if you take a look at the overall RSI, the one thing you want to do is now use your other indicators. When this big pump happened on the 4-hour RSI, the trend was green. Notice how your trend was green here, giving you and letting you know the price action was popping at this moment. There was buyers, things were happening. There was a volume of money flowing into this coin. Currently, the market is right there. There is no more money flowing in it. Remember when I told everyone to short Matic? Remember I was talking about Matic, how you guys wanted to short Matic right here? When this 4-hour RSI broke down right here, where was Matic? $1.58. Go into the Discord. I told everyone Matic it leads the market. As soon as Matic broke down on February 18th, go back and look in the Discord. I told you guys, go look at my TikTok. In my TikTok, I made videos and I said Matic leads the market and Matic is done pushing up, and you should short Matic at $1.58, and you should hold that short until July 15th at a 10 to 20%, and you would make a shitload of money, right? Put $1,000 and short Matic at $1.56 at a 20x. Man, you're gonna end up with like 7 to, I mean, what is that? A 30% move, 300%. So $1,000, you'd have made $4,000. So on this move here, as we start to come down, notice that the trend went to negative right here. So the price action is there's not a lot of volume in this market. The buyers are gone, and now the volume has completely disappeared. And look where we're at currently. The volume is gone, which means the pushes that it would normally have while it was at its oversold mark is basically half the movement. That's why we have this middle line here, is because I don't expect Matic to break this line. I expect it to probably reject around that area. That will become the short, and we will short Matic very heavily all the way down. Once this 4-hour RSI bends to the bottom, we're going to short Matic all the way down, and we're going to run that down to probably 97 cents or something like that over the next couple months. But that's how you can understand how to trade with your RSI, right? So now that we know that the RSI is oversold, here's your little push. Now that we know the RSI is oversold, we know that we're looking for a short on position, right? Currently, it's still pushing up. It hasn't bent yet, which means there's still volume to the north, right? So now you go to the 1 hour RSI and you say, okay, there's still volume to the north. Where are we on our 1 hour RSI? Currently, we are in a green positive cash flow price action on the 1 hour. So if you had your indicators, you see this 1 hour bounce right here, you get your, this is where this 1 hour bounce came in. You would have been buying into Matic at this level here, $1.19, which we did yesterday and cleaned up. And we will run that up all the way here until that 1 hour starts to bend, which it did right here. And that's where we would get out of our position because the 1 hour starts to cross over here. Now, once it crosses over here, right, we can see that it's consolidating. And currently at this moment here, it's deciding on where it's going to make its move right now. So what I'm waiting for right here is I'm looking for the 1 hour RSI to start to bend down because I want to take advantage of the short move because I know the 4 hours oversold. I know the 1 hour is oversold. So the next move, 80% is going to be to the short side. Now, if this 1 hour was down here and the 4 hours oversold, then I'd be looking for a push to this level here or maybe this level, then a rejection. But right now, this is all indicating that we're dealing with a very oversold coin. Cash is starting to disappear, which means the next thing is to go, how do I know what to get into faster? This is where we slide down to the 30-minute time frame, right? Just to take a peek to see what the 30-minute is doing, right? The 30-minute is shown already that it basically has its green trend. It's pushing up. The 30 came down, did a push, but look how the 30-minute is starting to give up right here. So that's a future that within the next hour and a half, we're going to have some type of short position. Now let's go to the 15-minute and see where we're at. So we're looking to get into a short, which means what? We have to have the 15-minute in our favor, right? Currently, the 15-minute went up on a push. It's currently pulling back, which means it should have another push. Now, why would it have another push? Because the trend is still green, which means there's still pumping and dump. There's still like, you know, limit buys and limit orders, and there's people FOMOing and people who don't know how to trade. There's a bunch of order blocks here that is allowing this to actually get into a situation where this could come pull back a little. Like, see it right here, the 15-minute right here. See how it bent on the RSI? That gave our short position. Why? Because our 1 hour is oversold, our 4 hours getting there. Here's our little pullback. And that pullback wasn't the greatest of a pullback. It's still profitable, right? Like, look at it. If you would have traded that 15-minute, now, because the trend at the current time on the 4 hour is still up because it hasn't broken yet, and the 1 hour was still up at that moment, we don't play that pullback because we don't know, it might not pull back that far. But this is a pullback, and now you're starting to see where it's starting to bounce. So what we're going to do is play the short position, right? So we need the RSI to be in our favor, which means to go down, come back up, create some breathing room for our short. And currently we don't have that. But we can go now to the 5 minutes to see how close we are to this scenario, right? So now here things start to get a little bit different here. And I'll take a look here. I'm currently on candles here, right? Now, when you're on candles, you start to see these little spaces, and it gets a little like, you know, little cloudy here. You can rotate over to Heikin Ashi candles to get a very closer view of what you're looking at here. So now, anytime I'm looking at the 5 minute, 3 minute, 1 minute, I go to Heikin Ashi candles to clean up the noise, right? So let's take a look. Currently, the 5 minute is already saying, hey, I'm coming down. Here's the pullback that the 15-minute was showing. But now the trend, I'll move this over for you, my guys. All right, so now the trend is starting to basically pull right here. And now we're seeing the red is starting to come in. This is a basically, what do you call that? A segue into the fact that we're going to be going into a short, right? It's already starting to show you that this short is becoming real here. Now, the difference is this is a slight pullback because the 5 minute RSI is already bottoming out, which means we need the 5 minute RSI to now run its full cycle, push back up, and then that moment, if everything here is still the same and the 15-minute is pushing up as well, That's where we will begin looking for our short entries. When the 5 minute taps here, we'll start to enter shorts on the next push up and the come down. And then we'll start playing the short game until the 15 minute starts to gain and then fall. And then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 trades of playing this setup game of 5 minute up, 5 minute down short, 5 minute up, 5 minute down short. Eventually we'll get a 5 minute up, and then that short will continue because the 15 minute would have got to the point where it's finally exhausted and then giving up. So it's just playing the game. But that's where we're at with Matic right now. Now, if you want a closer look on the Matic side, you can go to the 3 minute to see if that's going to continue. What does the 3 minute have? Trend, it's bottomed out. Looks like it's giving up as well. So it is also saying that Matic's top was probably that $1.26, and we're going to start shorting from this position. We need the 3 minute to bounce up and then enter a short. So we're going to play the Matic short roll here, and we're going to play it off of the 3 minute RSI reaching the top. And as soon as that starts to break down, that's where we're going to be looking to get in, as long as the 5 minute has started its movement up, right? So that's where we're at. This is how we make our trades, right? So currently right now, guys, we have where the Matic is in a downward movement, and that is what we're waiting for. And if that 4-hour RSI starts to bend down, we're going to put a heavy short on it, and we're going to hold that short all the way until that 4-hour RSI starts to bounce. Okay, so currently right here, this is now this is the level we were talking about. Here's one of the levels. We're probably going to bounce off this level and then go for a nice little pullback run up here, a little bounce somewhere in this zone, and then we're going to come back down, right? That's what we're waiting for. So we have a possible short incoming on Matic, and it just has to do its little push-ups and pullbacks, and this is what it's doing right here. So now we're waiting for this next pullback. Notice this pullback right here came up, then it came down, and then the next pullback was right there, and that was very weak. So if we were actually watching this coin, right, so we would have saw this earlier, when we got a red trend, right, we would have seen that the 1-hour RSI was getting oversold. We would have seen that the 4-hour RSI is getting oversold, and then we could have started playing the short game. The short game, what is the short game? The short game is then you go to your 3-minute RSI. As long as the 15 minutes heading down, everything is lining up the way it's supposed to, we start to see these little pumps here, right? 3-minute RSI goes down, pumps, it gets rejected right here. You enter a short, it comes down, and you close your short right here on this RSI. It starts to pump up, it breaks below again, you sell, and you're in another short here, and that's the game that you're playing. But this is a very small window of profit. So right here, because these are pretty decent sized movement down, that let me know that this is a pretty weak coin at this moment. So we're definitely seeing strength in the short here, right? Because normally on these little push-ups and pullbacks, if these candles were smaller, more like this candle, then that means that, you know, that there's more of a 50-50 sideways move. But the fact that these candles are actually 3 times bigger than they should be, right? And these are some big candles that are growing. This lets me believe that this short is actually strong right at this moment and getting stronger. So as soon as this 3-minute bounces up here and goes up, I'm going to enter a short because I'm seeing strength in this short. I'm seeing strength in this particular move. Look at these big candles. These are some big candles right here. 3 candles, right? Look at this. Candle, candle, weaker candle. Candle, stronger, slightly weaker. Now weak, strong, and now we're getting to that moment. So we're starting to build momentum here that lets me know that this short is basically probably a 90% chance here that we're going to get into this short, guys. So that's what we're looking at, and this is how you trade on the RSI, guys. So I'm going to put this in the Discord right now so you guys can go over that and understand why we're using the RSIs and how to use them properly, guys.